Over the last few years, gaming mice have evolved to match the needs of the growing esports market. These days, the ideal gaming mouse is light, strips out unnecessary frills, and packs an excellent sensor that can handle competitive play. With such specific demands, it's easy to assume a decent gaming mouse should cost a pretty penny, but the esports boom elevated the baseline quality for consumer-level gaming equipment, mice included. That doesn't mean every gaming mouse is great, though. Every gamer is different and you should take the time to find the best cheap gaming mouse to fit your needs, and your hand. Number 1. HyperX Pulse Fire Haste. The HyperX Pulse Fire Haste's standout trait is its lightweight design. As the best cheap esports mouse, it's pretty small and weighs in at just over 2 ounces thanks to its honeycombed chassis. Some manufacturers make ergonomic concessions to hit those measurements, but the Pulse Fire Haste manages to stay comfortable and drop down to an esports-grade fighting weight. It feels best when used with the claw grip, but isn't so small that you can't use it with a palm grip, as long as it fits your hand. The Pulse Fire Haste's PixArt 335 sensor tracks at up to 16,000 dpi and is accurate at up to 450 inches per second, so your speedy hand movements will translate to accurate in-game actions. The mouse also performs well in lower DPI settings, which you can swap to on the fly to suit your gameplay needs at a given moment. The internal memory stores up to 5 DPI presets and RGB profiles, which are programmed with HyperX's Ingenuity desktop app and cycled through with a DPI button just behind the RGB lit scroll wheel. Number 2. Corsair Saber RGB Pro Champion Series. The Corsair Saber RGB Pro Champion Series well-rounded specs can fulfill multiple roles other than the best cheap wired gaming mouse. It sports a simple, unassuming aesthetic that would fit in a professional setup without screaming gamer gear. At 2.43 ounces, it's very light, allowing for speedy movement, and its dedicated right-handed design offers better ergonomics than other small gaming mice. The Corsair RGB Pro Champion sensor has a maximum 18,000 dpi resolution, better than most gaming mice at this price point. It also allows you to fine-tune your DPI setting, raising or lowering your tracking in 50 dpi increments, with the option to quickly revert back to your DPI presets with simple button combos. The Saber RGB Pro Champion series also features hyperpolling, which increases the polling rate above the standard 1000 Hz. Raising the polling rate, particularly to the potentially useful 8000 Hz, requires more computing power than merely using a mouse, which is an odd issue to consider. Number 3. Corsair Harpoon RGB Wireless. As the best cheap wireless gaming mouse, the Corsair's Harpoon RGB Wireless has excellent specs and features for a $50 wireless mouse. The PixArt PMW335 sensor tracks up to 10,000 dpi, and there are buttons to quickly bump the DPI up or down by 200 dpi increments. It gets a very healthy 40 hours of battery life and offers 2.4 GHz and Bluetooth wireless connectivity, giving you the freedom to choose between a more stable connection and a more power-efficient one. It also allows you to connect it to more devices, including phones. The Harpoon RGB Wireless' only potential drawbacks as an esports mouse are its weight and size. The mouse weighs 3.65 ounces due to the internal battery and wireless sensors, and if you plug in its charging cable, the whole thing jumps to 5.11 ounces. In either configuration, the Harpoon RGB Wireless will feel a bit heavier compared to a wired esports mouse, and even some of its wireless competitors. Number 4. SteelSeries Rival 3 Wireless. The Rival 3 Wireless is the best cheap gaming mouse for traveling. Its signature feature, an incredible 400-hour battery life, makes it the right pick for gamers on the go. It only lasts that long in high-efficiency mode, which reduces the mouse's polling rate, but even without that, you're still getting an incredible amount of usage on a pair of AAAs. That's right, like many less expensive wireless mice, the Rival 3 requires disposable batteries for power. While not ideal, the incredible amount of time you get from them is hard to pass up. The SteelSeries Rival 3 Wireless TrueMove Air sensor boasts a maximum 18,000 dpi, which is better than most other $50 mice. For connectivity, the Rival 3 supports either Bluetooth or 2.4 GHz wireless, so you can pair the mouse with just about any device and keep room for other cordless peripherals. Number 5. Rocket Burst Pro. The Rocket Burst Pro is similar to the other mice on this list in many key ways. It's a 6-button device aimed at esports players, with a small handful of extra features like RGB lighting and programmable buttons, and wired USB connectivity. It's a pretty standard gaming mouse. Its overall performance and specs, however, make a big leap, even though it only costs $10 more. The Burst Pro features Rocket's customable sensor, which is essentially a retooled PixArt PMW3389, with tracking that tops out at 16,000 dpi and stays accurate at up to 400 inches per second. In practice, the Burst Pro's in-game performance feels like a much more expensive mouse. It also sports Rocket's Titan optical mouse switches, rather than mechanical switches, which minimize input lag and increase button durability. At 2.33 ounces, it's definitely a competitive contender, too. It's also a sharp, distinctive-looking mouse. It has a dual-layer chassis that includes a honeycombed plastic inner layer and a smooth, transparent plastic outer shell with a matte finish, which creates a pleasing soft glow effect when the internal RGB lights shine through. It's a great fit for any player's gaming PC battle station.